Okay, let's go ahead and get started here everybody. Welcome back to another 2 p.m. PST YouTube stream. I'm your host, Strange Bro Jim, and today we are going to be getting back into, some Pega Academy to start off with. We're going to be continuing our journey to get our certification in System Architect. We have some video uploads to deal with today. Um, so that's going to be coming on afterwards. And then, of course, after all of that is all said and done, we have the Genshin Impact later on tonight. So that's what we're going to be kind of dealing with. So, uh, hopefully, and of course, as always, all these videos are going to be uploaded in their respective playlists afterwards. No editing at this time. Um, I'm terrible at editing, and I'm gonna hate it when I get to the point where I can get myself finally caught up on uploading videos, and I'll start putting that hour into editing. But personally, I'd prefer if someone else could do it. Um, but that's me. Um, you know, the reason why I say that is that I really wouldn't know what people would be interested in seeing, to be honest. Um, you know, some people might like the comedic bits, some people might like the action, others might just kind of like the relaxed feel of it all and doesn't really care about the action or comedy. I mean, I can't please everybody, right? But you know, that's what you know that's the problem with editing. You don't know. you know. Um, of course, it all depends on the audience. Um, what does my viewers like to watch, right? Um, of course, I don't really necessarily know per se. I'm not a mind reader, so I don't really know, why are they clicking on my videos? Why are they watching? That kind of thing. You know, so I don't really know. But I mean, that's the way YouTube is, right? You know, um, I'm not, you know, it's a roll of the dice to see, what works and what doesn't work sometimes. So, okay, but let's get on into the portion of Pega here so that everybody can get some decent information out of it. Obviously, those of you that are um, working towards your certification, this is what you're interested in, right? So, a little bit about me. I'm currently unemployed software developer. Last job that I had was involving Pega. We were, uh, my last job, tried to give us an authorized training partner, which uh, basically the majority of us were not happy with his teaching at all. We all pretty much went to self-study for the most part. Um, and um, the one and only time that I took the certification, it was pretty much a rush, and they pretty much rushed me into it. It's like, you have to take this certification or we're going to drop you. And it's like, well, okay, I wasn't ready, but sure. Um, so I took it, I failed. Um, and they didn't necessarily support me any further than that beyond. So, you know, um, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more mentorship afterwards, or maybe retaking the training course that they had to um, to maybe get the certification, but that didn't happen. So that's where I'm at. Um, I'm working on my system architect because that's where my interest lies. For those of you that are working towards your business architect, that's already said and done. I've already completed all that particular mission, um, so yeah. Now, for those of you that might be thinking, oh, hey, look, it's someone that is maybe an authorized training partner, or maybe they're instructor-led training. Nope, that is not me. I don't know everything that there is to know about Pega. Hence the reason why I'm going for my certification myself. So if you feel like this is an instructor-led training or this is, you know, I'm an authorized training partner, then no, sorry, that's not the case in this matter. So, um, now if you want to go for an instructor-led training, then go right ahead. Um, I find it fairly expensive, being like $5,000 or something like that. From what I understand, it's like a 2-week course or so. Um, I don't know how many hours in a day it is, but believe me, it's going to be a jam-packed, you know, um, it's going to be a jam-packed course. They're going to give you everything. Just kind of, you know, it is going to be a concentrated version because believe me, and believe you me, they are not going to, they're not going to give you that much time, in my particular opinion. But maybe an instructor is going to be fantastic. You're going to learn everything that there is to learn, and you'll pass the certification with flying colors. I don't really know. I've never had an instructor-led training, so I can only guess. Now, if you do take the instructor-led training, then ask questions. Okay, get as much information out of that instructor as you possibly can. Hopefully, they can answer your questions. Hopefully, they can provide all the information that you're asking for. Hopefully they provide the information anyway without you even having to ask. That would be a fantastic instructor. Now, they're probably not going to be able to cover everything. Okay, so bear that in mind. So you're probably going to need to do a lot of work on your own time to, you know, learn even more that they're not getting to. Maybe they'll provide additional resources to you so that you can, study more. Like, a lot of these topics have additional links. Maybe they'll go over those additional links. I don't know. Okay. That's the thing about these instructor-led trainings. I don't know what they would cover. So your guess is as good as mine on that. But hopefully they know everything about Pega and that they can kind of teach you what that low code application is all about. So, um, the last thing that well, not the last thing, but one of the things that I want to mention also is the fact that this is not endorsed by Pega whatsoever. This is my own, process to get my certification. Um, I never asked for Pega for their blessing on this. They never contacted me about, maybe trying to sponsor me or anything along those lines. Nothing. So there's no direct communication between us other than I send in suggestions and then um, they reply back on those on said suggestions. Now, um, I wouldn't be opposed to maybe their support. So if they want to contact me and say, hey Jim, we like what you're doing on your channel for Pega Academy, we'd like to support you in some way, or something like that, then that'd be great. I wouldn't say no to that. But, um, I also wouldn't really know what they would even consider offering, if anything. So, um, you know, right now. Most that I'm looking for is a job. So, um, so yeah, that's you know, not much I can really do about that. Okay. Um, so there's all that. Let's go to the dashboard here. Um, so like I said, we've completed the business architect, as you can see there, for 8.7. They haven't brought out any of the other languages for 8.8 yet, so that's why I did the 8.7, so other languages can kind of follow along, hopefully. Um, Now, if you are someone that's interested in the business architect, then I would recommend that you go over the Pega Express delivery mission because these last two modules here are all about Pega Express delivery, and I feel like they didn't really cover enough. So hopefully this mission will cover more. So, so if this is something that you might be interested in, then feel free to kind of check that out. We got the system architect here. That's the next. Um, that's what I'm going to be kind of going through to finish off. We may go through the senior system architect later on tonight, or not later on tonight. Later in the process. So there might be. Um, so we'll have to kind of wait and see. Um, you know, and will I be able to kind of maintain or retain a lot of the information from system architect, or will I need to go into senior system architect to try to learn even more? I don't really know, okay, because the um, one of the things that um, you know, uh, when I took the certification for Pega, um, last time they gave me a lot of Pega 7 questions. Okay, I took the 8.6 certification and they gave me Pega 7 questions. That's the reason why you need to ask questions to your instructors. Okay, feel free to ask me as well because I mean, while I might not have all the answers, I can always try to see about trying to find someone that can provide answers for you. Okay, um, so if you're like watching the stream right now, or you want to put in um, a message in the comment section on any of my videos, feel free to do so. Okay, don't be afraid to ask questions because you know Um, even if I might not have the answer myself directly, I can always see about trying to find someone that can provide an answer. Or I look up the information myself and try to provide you the best answer that I can. Okay? So, but don't be afraid of asking questions. Okay? That's the path to learning. Okay? So, um, but yeah, let's go ahead and get into the system architect for Pega, and we will go over the, um, we're continuing along with the application data manipulation there. Um, Yesterday we did the default property values, so we're going to be moving on to the next topic, the superclass feature. So, Superclass. Data transform superclass feature. Developers can make data transforms more modular by using a superclass. You can combine several data transforms using the superclass feature to set values at multiple levels of the class hierarchy. Taking advantage of this feature improves the maintainability of data transforms. When the superclass feature is enabled on data transforms at runtime, Pega platform identifies the parent of the current class, identifies the next level parent until the highest parent class is located, finds the data transform, and invokes the data transforms. So we got the additional information here. So runtime process, system identifies the parent of the current class, system identifies the highest parent class, system finds the data transform, and then system invokes the data transforms. So Pega platform identifies the parent of the current class by using standard rule resolution. Rule resolution is an algorithm that is built into Pega platform that identifies the correct rule to use at runtime based on factors such as rule set, class inheritance, and permissions. System identifies the highest. After Pega platform identifies a parent class, the system continues to identify parent classes until it reaches the highest parent class. System finds the data transform. After identifying the highest parent class, the system uses rule resolution to find the data transform that has the same name as the current data transform. System invokes the data transforms. The data transform is the second highest class. The data transform in the highest class is invoked first. The data transform of the same name, if any, in the second highest class is invoked next, and so on. The current data transform is invoked last. So basically what it does, for those of you that are kind of curious, okay, so think of it like a tree, like normal. You have your root and then you have all the branches down, right? So let's say you have a class, a child class that's like 5 childs deep or something like that. So basically what it does is it goes all the way, parent to parent to parent to parent, all the way up to the, top root. And then it checks to see, the name of the data transform, in each of those parents all the way down, back down to the child class at the very end. Basically talking about how there might be certain like you might need to have like certain rules set in place from the highest node, the highest root, highest parent class, to make sure that everything is done properly. So yeah, this is the question is it like the most efficient? Hard to say. But you know, um, but at the same time, it is trying to find like the um, it wants to make sure that the information provided is the correct information. So see, what I would probably do personally would be, um, check check the parent for the data transform name. It, you know, is it there? Yes. Okay. Then we may need to check the parent of that. Check the name. Is it the same? Yes. Check the next parent. That kind of thing. Just kind of go and you know, do this runtime process in a sense for the parent highest to them, I would figure. Um, that way you don't have to go all the way to the highest class of a of a of an application just to check to see whether or not there's a data transform that's actually there. That seems that personally seems like it's a kind of a waste. Um, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm not correct on that. I don't know. Um, but it just feels like, hey, if you have a data transform that is only in the last two children, and you have like 10 parents or something like that, then you're kind of wasting runtime process checking those 8 other parents. You get what I'm saying? Um, but again, I don't know. I don't know how they handle their runtime I'm not looking at their runtime process, directly. Maybe this is the most efficient that they have. I don't know. It just seems like it's, you know, um, it might be the most efficient on low amount of parent and child classes, but if you have something with a lot of parent classes or a lot of children classes, then well, a lot of children in your application, then I don't know. It feels like it might be um, it could potentially get problematic, But I don't know. That's you know um, not much I can really say about that one way or another about that. So no worries. Okay, so okay, so um, data transform superclass feature use case. Consider a claim class with a home subclass. The home subclass in turn has a rental subclass with they use subclass. It's a child. Use your wording there, Pega. If you're gonna be using parent and child classes, use parent and child classes. You know. Consider a claim class with a home child class. The home child class, in turn, has a rental child class with data transforms in each level that sets the default values. You set your data transform so that the common default values are set in the claim parent class. The specific values are set in the child classes. Uh, sorry. The case type requires 2 fields found in parent classes, the data loss and the address fields. You set the set default data transform on each class so that the common default values for data loss and prefix, case ID prefix, are set in the claim class. The address is set in the home class. Once again, they should really emphasize the fact that are set in the claim parent class. The address is set in the home child class, and the name of lease is set in the rental child class. You know, it really should be emphasizing that more. But whatever. Um, the superclass feature is enabled if App Studio created default fields automatically. I mean, shouldn't it be, there by default anyway, even if you're not creating any default fields? It should be enabled anyway, so that like if you do create something that uses the Superclass feature, it should automatically come up. I don't know. And that's just odd. Um, okay, the following image shows the rule execution sequence of set default data transforms that are invoked when case type rental is created and the superclass feature is enabled on all data transforms. The plus icons to learn more about each rule execution step. Okay, um, so you have the rental claim, you have the data loss, and you have the prefix. But you need the address and name on lease, right? So you have the home claim, which has the address. So you include the address in the overall claim there. And then you have another child of that, where the name on the lease of the home, you know, um, is included afterwards. And it's like, well, seems like a little bit of an odd way of going about doing that to have the name on the lease at the very end. Um, you would think that an insurance company would be having like um, the claimant information like at the very top because the um, that way you can kind of keep the because that owner might have like multiple claims over time, you know. So you would think that they'd be kind of more focused on the owner having multiple claims versus a whole bunch of claims and having to check to see like how they would have to like scan all these claims for that one particular address or that one particular homeowner. This seems like a very inefficient structure, in my particular opinion. Um, but that's me. Okay, so I don't, you know, that's what I would figure. But set default is called in the claims class to set the data loss and prefix fields. The set default is called on the home class to override the prefix field and set the address field. Set default is called in the rental class to override the prefix field again and set the name on lease field. Now I have no idea what the prefix is referencing. Don't really know. Don't know um, what why they have that information there. Is it claim, home, and rental or something like that? Who knows? But still, it's one of those things where it's like, again, I don't know why they structured it that way. Seems very inefficient when you need to kind of go back through it to find, like maybe the homeowner contacts you and asks, what's what's my balance for homeowner insurance? Like maybe they put some claims in over the year, and they want to make sure like, hey, how much more insurance do I have available? You know, um, on my accounts or something like that, then well, how are they gonna get all that information, you know, added up or whatnot? Just it just feels odd. That's all. Um. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. You use the superclass feature when you call a data transform to set a different default value for the same property within the hierarchy of subclasses. I mean, yes. I mean that's not the. I don't know if you would consider that like the only thing that a superclass would do, but and once again, they call it superclass when it's like, hey, um, you know, you could still kind of, you might still kind of consider it the parent class. So it's like, oh well. Also, bear in mind, superclass is part of the Java constructor. You know, um, so or at least no, wait. Sorry, hold on. I'm kind of mixing up my Java and C++ knowledge there. Uh, Java doesn't necessarily have constructor. Well, I mean it does, but they don't really call it constructors. So, they still kind of call it superclasses. So, um, but yeah, I mean you can basically reference parent classes, um, you know um, class constructors, you know. So like um, when you have a child class, you can say, hey, I want to call the super, which will kind of go up to the parent class and call its constructor, right? So if you ever need to do that, so configure the superclass feature for data transforms. To configure the superclass feature in the Dev Studio workspace, create a data transform with the same name at each class level and ensure the call superclass data transform option is selected in the desired data transform. If properties are specified in both parent and subclasses, the data transform in the subclass overwrites the data transform in the parent class. So, um, so like the parent might say like, hey, I have these four values that I'm gonna set to these four different four default values, right? And then it goes down to the child class and it says, well, I need two of those four values to change to this specific value instead of the default values, right? So you know um, so it could be like, hey, um, the Jim with his username Strange Bro Jim, um, you know, he streamed on this day and ended his stream on this day, but then um, your subclass might say, well, instead of he streaming on that day and ending it on that day, he might have done, this other day and ended it on this other day, that kind of thing. So, But at the same time, kind of keeping the gem in the username, right? So that kind of thing. So Pega platform comes with standard Pi and PY default data transforms and the work classes from which the case types inherit. The standard work PY default data transform sets property values that are used in all case types. The properties include work status, work urgency, and operator organization information. If you override these default settings in the case type PY default data transfer, or you can override these default settings in the case type PY default data transform. For example, the work PY default work urgency value is set to 10. If you want to prioritize cases in your case type, you can change the default urgency value for all new cases to 40. Alright, if the call superclass data transform option is selected, and the parent class data transform references the same properties as the subclass data transform, the subclass data transform property value will blank the parent class data transform property value. So it's override. It doesn't delete it. It doesn't use it. It doesn't copy it. It just, you know, it basically replaces it. Okay, so instead of having, that stream date, like I mentioned before, of say, yesterday, September 6th, 2023, instead of having that, it would basically say, his start date was, September 7th, 2023, that kind of thing. So, um, and it wouldn't reference that September 6th at all. That's gone. It completely clears out that value and just leaves in September 7th. Okay? So that's basically what, overwrite is all about. Um, what's really funny is that if you go into like really low level language programming, you're gonna have to be careful about um, memory locations and memory spaces, because if you say like, hey, I need to give this particular um, text, I need to basically give this particular text field 16 characters, right? And, first input that you put in is, all 16 characters. And then, you want to try to overwrite that, but you only put in like 5 characters. Well, the program might actually still be trying to look at all 16. So sure, those first 5 characters might be replaced, but the other 11 are still there. So, you know, it can be a little interesting if you're not careful along those lines. All right, so we got 12 minutes left. We got the module quiz coming up, so let's go ahead and finish that off. So we're gonna test our knowledge. Let's see, how many questions? 5 questions? Okay. Personal insurance division. The goal and deadline dates are assigned to each case for insurance claims cases. Whew. Stakeholders want to override the default goal date but maintain the default deadline date. Which 2 configuration steps do you take to meet this requirement? In each case type, data transform set the goal date to the required value. I mean, I guess you could do that. Select the call superclass data transform option in each of the case type data transforms. Well, not necessarily. You want to make sure that you you want to make sure that you override the default goal date. So this one might not necessarily cover it. Select the call superclass data transform option in the claims data transform, and then clear the option in the parent data transform. I mean, sure, I guess. In the claims data transform for each case type, configure the update page action and then set the goal date value. And the required value, um, it doesn't necessarily state that it has to be required here. So that's why I was never really 100% on this one. Um, you know, sure, they want to override the default goal date, but, they don't necessarily need to override the default goal date, so that's why I'm kind of leaning toward these two right at the moment. So, and both of them are wrong. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Well, let's see why they're both wrong then. Um, if you do not select the call superclass data transform option, the values for the parent data transform cannot be used. But they said they're saying select the call superclass data transform. Huh? That doesn't really make any sense there. You use the call superclass data transform option in case type data transforms to override values from the parent data transform. Right. That's what you're saying here, though. Am I one? Huh? What's going on here? This feels like it's completely backwards here. They're saying that they're wrong, but at the same time, it feels as though they're stating, you can't be doing this. But yet, it's like, that's what it's doing, though. What am I missing here? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this and send it into them and go, what the heck? Okay. hold on. Okay. It is stating that if you do not select the call Superclass data transform option, but yet the the first thing said in the third answer is select the call super class data transform option. So what's going on here? Why is the third answer wrong? Same with the fourth answer. Um, the call superclass data transform option overwrites values, but for the fourth answer, you configure the update page action and then overwrite the default goal date. So why is this answer wrong? I didn't pick the first answer because the description did not state that the goal date had to be overwritten. meaning that it could have still used the default goal date if needed. Um, and I picked, and I didn't pick the second one because if you know that the other parent classes didn't have the data transform, then why waste time on searching for information that you know isn't there? Hence the third option. That's ay, ay, ay. That was just the first question there, folks. Oh my God, what the hell? Well, I guess the first and the second are the correct answers there for some reason. I don't know. In which two scenarios should you set default property values? Customer receives a suggested product based on recent product history search. No, you don't want to do that. Arrival day and departure day for the hotel reservation is equal to today and tomorrow, respectively. That's a good default. An assignment is automatically assigned to the default work queue for the consulting team. Mm, that is a, I mean, eh, well, it's choose two, so I mean that still kind of works. Developer uses proxy customer data to run development tests. Um, yeah, I picked these two. There we go. The third one, is kind of like saying like a default. You're putting it into like one specific work queue all the time. So in a sense, you are doing, a default setting, but the problem is that, you know, um, uh, making assignments like that doesn't necessarily involve the default property values. You're not changing the um, you're not changing a string for setting putting an assignment into the work queue. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I was like, in one way, it's like, sure, you're kind of having a default set, you're having an assignment being set by default, sure, kinda, but the fourth is a better option. Okay, so A healthcare services case has a child case that manages the hospital intake questionnaire. The patient can identify symptoms from a list of possible symptoms in child case. Selected symptoms are copied over to the parent case with the status unconfirmed. In the parent case, the physician can update the symptoms that are listed and their associated status. Which two configurations would be part of the selected symptoms data transform? Um, let's see. Create a new property for each selected symptom and copy the properties to the parent case? No, I don't think you need to do that. I think the two that I selected here are the correct answers, but let's check feedback. Yep, there we go. Okay. They wanted the status to be set to unconfirmed for each of the copied symptoms, so that's fine. And iterate over the list of possible symptoms and copy those entries that the patient selected during intake. They don't need to copy any more than that. Okay, so in which of the following situations would you use a data transform? Create properties after creating the case? No, not necessarily. Run a flow action? I guess, maybe. Reuse properties in two forms? Maybe. Copy data from one page to another? That's probably the one that you want. Alright. Drag the words into the correct boxes. To set property values in the form, you create data transforms to blank the target equal to the blank and apply the blank to the blank in the blank. Wow, that's so descriptive there, guys. Okay. You create a data transform to set target equal to source and apply the they're really not giving me a whole lot of information here. Apply the I'm just gonna guess because I'm not quite sure. Apply the process to the connector in a data transform. I don't know. Okay. There really wasn't all that information, much information here. Um, Here, you know what? I'm gonna kind of copy this one down too. This one feels a little Feels a little off. Uh, Maybe I do need to restudy the topic in question, but the second half of the statement really didn't contain much information to really get a good judgment on the order of the words. Again, it might be due to the fact that I don't have the word definitions completely memorized at this point, but the statement really didn't feel like it had much to help us determine the correct answer. Don't know what else to say for this. Not even sure if it is possible to rewrite the statement. Uh, Yeah, so I don't know what the heck was going on with that one question. That one was a little weird. Um, you know, so that's a wrong answer, and that's the wrong answer. So to preserve data integrity, do not use the data transform to remove data from the source record. Removing the selected symptoms from the source of record makes the data unavailable for reuse. You cannot configure a data transform to filter on a view. shouldn't that be like the other way around? Whatever. Yeah, this was the one that was like, wait, what? Setting the goal date in each case data transform overwrites the parent value of the superclass feature is used. Yeah, and that's what this is doing here. It's like, you select the call superclass data transform option in the case type data transforms to use the values from the parent data transform, which again, that's what this is kind of doing here, but you know. Okay, so to set the target equal to the source and apply the data transform to the connector in the process. So, default property values. That one and that one are the wrong answers. Use a service level agreement to set the goal for completion of the approval assignment. Use a work group to designate a default work queue for the team. Wait, what the fuck? How? Why are they talking about work group to designate a default work queue for the team for a customer receiving the suggested product? Huh? Okay. Let's go ahead and send that one in because that one's a little confusing. That shouldn't be. You guys are kind of screwing up on the questions here, it feels like. Was studying the um, the reasoning behind the wrong answers. So I can walk them in my brain so I know what not to do in the certification. However, the explanation of the of why the answers are wrong is a bit odd. work group for a customer suggestion? What? I think this module quiz needs a rework to make sure everything is clear and correct. Okay. So copy data from one page to another is the um, proper answer. Um, you could, you might think, reuse properties in two forms, but if you do not need to copy the property values into a different property or manipulate property values, you can reuse the same properties without using a data transform. So, okay, that makes sense. Um, Obviously, you guys can probably check out the other two questions if you want to, but we're definitely going over our time in terms of the Pega studying. So I think that's where we're going to go ahead and call it here. So we are all done with the application data manipulation um, portion of this module. So we are going to be moving on to the challenge tomorrow, um, which is manipulating application data tomorrow. So 3 tasks, 20 minutes. So we got that to look forward to. Now, I wonder if they're going to be kind of saying, hey, make sure to switch on over to the dev studio, at the very beginning, because I mean, that's what this particular portion of the system architect um, mission is all about from here on out, right? Dev Studio, one would think. We'll have to see. But we're gonna go ahead and leave that for tomorrow, as always. Um, but that's going to be it for our Pega session. So I want to thank everybody that was just kind of um, studying in the background. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know, um, when I upload it, I want to thank you for watching. I hope, um, hopefully I helped you out in some way or another. Feel free to, help me out with the YouTube algorithm, doing the whole like and subscribing and all that jazz. That would be fantastic. Um, so, um, like I said before, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and give them. Um, I will do what I can to answer them if I can. Otherwise, I'll let you know that, I personally can't answer it, right away. So I'll be looking for, I'm gonna look for someone to help you out with it. Okay, so, but don't be afraid to ask it, please. Don't, you know that, if you're not really understanding, a particular topic that I covered, feel free to ask because, you know, It benefits you, it benefits me, and it benefits anybody else that might come along and see that exact same question. So you're going to be doing a lot of favors to everybody else, down the line when you're seeing this. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. All right. But that's it. That's where we're going to go and end it for today. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to catch you next time. Stop the recording.